Hello, First Impressions team. I am going to just do this quick training video so that you feel comfortable and confident stepping into this new role with Freedom Chapel. And first of all, I just want to say I am so excited to be partnering with you guys in this ministry. It's something that I am super passionate about because I think it's so important for us to make sure that every person that attends Freedom Chapel feels like a guest and feels like we are excited for them to be there from the moment they pull into our parking lot. And so in order to do that, we have put together this First Impressions team, which is the front lines of Freedom Chapel. It is the first impression that people are going to get when they pull in. And it's not going to be a first impression from our building. It's going to be a first impression from our people. And that is because of you and your interest in this team and your ability to volunteer and to really just welcome people into our space of worship. And I'm honestly just so excited to partner with each and every one of you. So like I said, we're just going to do a quick training on what this is going to look like, kind of some do's and don'ts, and then how you're how the morning is going to go and what's expected of you. And so the first thing that we want everybody to do on a Sunday when you are serving is to join us for our prayer team. This is our team meeting to come together to get excited about what God's doing that Sunday, and then to go out from there ready to really welcome in the presence of God and welcome people into His presence. And so our prayer meeting is going to be at 9:50 in the youth room, which is in the basement of Freedom Chapel. If you're not familiar with where that's at, just get a hold of somebody on our staff and we can point you in that direction. So on a Sunday morning when you are expected to serve, you will be joining us for prayer at 9:50, and then shortly after 10 o'clock, we'll be going to our designated area for the First Impressions greeting team. From there, once you get to your area, it's your job just to make people feel welcome as they come in. The illustration I like to use is when my kids know that their grandparents are coming to pick them up for the weekend, they sit at the door, like literally faces pressed against the window, right? Just waiting with expectant hearts because they're so excited to go with Grandma and Grandpa. And that's how we want people to feel when they come to Freedom Chapel, is we are literally standing outside of the doors in some cases waiting for them. We're so excited for them to join us for worship that we're waiting for them. And so that's how we want people to feel as they're coming into our parking lot, into our buildings. So of course our outdoor team is going to be just outside the doors, ready to open them as soon as people are coming up. We'll have our teenagers lining the sidewalks with signs. And then of course we will have an indoor team that will be just inside the sanctuary, handing a bulletin and just again, a last warm welcome before people sit down. So a little bit of do's and don'ts. We want to make sure that we can get the kids excited, just as excited for worship as the adults. And so the first thing that we're going to do anytime we see a family coming up with children is to address the kids first. You're going to make them feel important and valued, and also reassure them that we have something specifically for them that Sunday. And so what we want you to do is get down on their level, crouch down till you're eye to eye, and welcome them to Freedom Chapel. Hey, we're so excited that you're here. Are you excited for what Pastor Rustin has for you in Freedom Kids today, or Freedom Tots? Just make sure they understand that there is something for them on that Sunday morning, and that if they were to go into the service for the adults, they would be missing out on really the service that was designed for them. This also helps the parents understand we have something specific for your kids. This is something we've planned and put together. It's a safe space for them. And so especially if they're a first-time guest or a new parent, they understand what's available. Then from there, once you've kind of gotten the kids excited, then it's welcome to Freedom Chapel. We're so excited you're here. It's just keeping everything excited and positive, right? It takes a lot sometimes for a family, especially with kids, to get to the front door of church. There's a lot that's happened in those maybe minutes or hours leading up to that moment. And so it's our job to kind of help them shed the morning and look forward to worship. And one way we're going to do that is by helping the kids be fed in an area that's safe for them and with teaching that is their level, and allowing parents to walk into a sanctuary without the responsibility of their children following them in there, to where they can really enter into the presence of God in our adult service. And so that's going to be the first big thing, is greeting kids first, making sure they know what is available to them and get them excited about it. And then reassure the parents, welcome the parents, that you're in the right place, we're here for you, and there's something here for the whole family. The next step, especially if there are families with little kids, is your outdoor team. One of you may have to step inside the doors, just briefly, to direct new families to where the check-in is for children's ministry. And then our children's ministry check-in team will be there to take the kid, to get the name tag and all of that. But it may be your responsibility to just step in and make sure you're directing people to the right place so that they can check their kids in. So that's going to be another role for you. But again, your job is to welcome people, to be the face of Freedom Chapel. So we want you to do that with a cheerful spirit. If it means a little extra time in the prayer room, that's fine. But we want you to have a smile on and just an expectant heart for what God's doing, so that you can share that with other people as they're coming in. One big don't that we're going to really press into is, don't ever ask, is this your first Sunday with us? Or is this your first week with us? Really, what we found is that's kind of a lose-lose question. If it's not their first Sunday, they then feel like their presence before wasn't noticed or wasn't important. And we don't want people to feel that way with Freedom Chapel. And so as people are coming up, if it's a new face, or maybe somebody that you haven't yet been introduced to, the question that we want you to ask is, remind me, how long have you been with us? That allows them to give you the answer, whether it's their first week, they've been coming for a few weeks, months, maybe even years, but it sets them up for a question that they can answer, and it doesn't minimize maybe their previous experience. So again, remind me, how long have you been with us? Is the answer or the question that we want you to ask, rather than, is this your first week with us? We know that this might be a little bit of a transition, but even if you have to catch yourself halfway through, as you're saying it, stop and switch to this new question of, remind us, how long have you been worshiping with us? So that is really what we are excited about, is just welcoming people into the presence of God and making sure we don't set ourselves up for an awkward interaction if people maybe have been coming and you have missed them, right? Whether they've been coming in a different door or sitting in a different part of the sanctuary and you haven't had that interaction with them before, we want to make sure it's a positive one even from the start. So we're kind of removing that question from our vocabulary. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of us. Ask me if you need more direction or anything more specific. But really, we're just super excited for this new chapter in Freedom Chapel. I am so excited to be a part of this ministry and partner with each and every one of you. Like I said, I really believe this is vitally important to the health of our church. And we want to treat every person that comes to Freedom Chapel as a guest, even if it's somebody that's been there forever, and even Pastor Terry's family. When Michelle walks up with the kids, we want them to feel like a guest. We want them to feel just as special, just as invited, just as included, just as excited, right, as a first-time guest. And so no matter how long they've been coming to Freedom Chapel, we want them to feel special, and we want them to feel like we've been waiting for them to come. That's our role. So thank you guys again for volunteering in this position. I'm so excited for it. And I just look forward to what God has for us.